Welcome to the Neurokrish immersion. This episode is a writer Indian universe. Elections 2026 through the brain and mind lens. Here there's no partisan heat, no outrage cycles, only honest observation of how the human mind navigates power, identity, and change. We call this the Detached Observer. What is the Detached Observer? It's a new series within Neurokrish Immersion dedicated to stepping back from the daily noise of politics and examining events through the clear twin lenses of brain science and lived human experience. So the lens we use is brain science and lived experience applied together to real political events. Our method is of detached, honest observation, no partisan heat, no outrage cycles, and our focus is how the human mind actually navigates power, identity, and change. And today's episode is a writer Indian universe, elections 2026 through the brain and mind lens. In October 2016, I wrote a LinkedIn post titled A Writer Universe, when every poll and pundit insisted that Hillary Clinton would defeat Donald Trump. I highlighted in that post the silent voter in Middle America, fed up with immigration taking away opportunities, threatening lives and livelihood, and how these ground realities differed vastly from the popular left-of-center concerns that mainstream media espoused. Interestingly, a few days after I put out this post, Trump actually won. In writing that post, I also talked about Brexit and its impact on the UK and about various other events that were happening politically at that time, which indicated a universe shifting politically to the right. The same pattern, ground reality versus media narrative, has repeated with striking consistency across the years that followed. So Trump won in 2016. 2019, Narendra Modi had a stronger mandate than what any election observer or psephologist could predict. And here, 2026 elections in Bengal, Tamil Nadu and beyond are teaching us whole new stories as well. Now, what did I predict for 2026? I put this down, in my exploration with Grok the day before the results started to come out. And here is a transparent account of my calls before the results came in. In Tamil Nadu, I predicted that TVK would be a major disruptor, pulling more from the DMK than from the AIDMK. I also predicted that Vijay would need outside support for a stable government. In West Bengal, I predicted a close context with BJP elbowing its way in. In Puducherry, I predicted a rightward tilt with an NDA win. In Assam, I predicted a BJP win, but with some surprises. And in Kerala, I said that we would have the same alteration pattern that Kerala is well known for. It's, either the United Democratic Front or the Left Democratic Front that wins elections there. Now, what actually happened? My broad direction was correct, but the magnitude, especially in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, surprised me. And that gap is where the story really begins. In Tamil Nadu, TVK has emerged as the single largest party, but it is short of a majority. This is what I had predicted. What I did not anticipate was it becoming the single largest party. AIDMK, I felt, would continue to retain its pace. It has underperformed, but has remained relevant, especially in this post-poll arithmetic. West Bengal was not the way I thought. It wasn't a close contest at all. BJP has delivered a decisive breakthrough, ending 15 years of TMC rule. I underestimated the decisiveness. Puducherry confirmed the rightward tilt as I had predicted. Assam, the BJP win with some surprises, but broadly as I had called it. And Kerala did follow the classic alteration pattern. Now, one of my earlier podcasts was on the 5 facets of the political mind. So when we go back and assess that, voters were not merely choosing parties. They were responding through all 5 layers of the political mind simultaneously. From a psychological perspective, balancing hope with pragmatism, the voter calculates risk and opportunity at every level. From an emotional perspective, they are drawn to fresh energy, charisma, and the visceral promise of something genuinely new. From the social perspective, they are signaling identity, community belonging, and above all, self-respect. From a moral perspective, they are seeking perceived authenticity and leaders who reflect their lived values, not curated ones. And from a power-driven perspective, they understand who holds power and they make a deliberate choice either to reinforce or disrupt it. And I'll explain this a little further as we go along. Now, the Tamil Nadu phenomenon has historical roots. It's always been shaped by a unique interplay of cinema, culture, and social aspiration, going back to the era of MGR and Jayalalitha. The Tamil voter operates with a distinct political consciousness. Cinema and politics have been inseparably intertwined since the Dravidian movement, and the screen is a stage for political messaging. If you have not watched the Tamil movie Iruvar, which depicts the growth of MGR and M. Karunanidhi and how their fortunes favored each one of them in different ways over time. MGR and Jayalalitha demonstrated to us that cinematic charisma could be converted into durable political capital when combined with genuine governance delivery. Other factors that do influence elections in Tamil Nadu include the caste arithmetic, linguistic pride, and social identity politics. All these run deep, but they can be disrupted by a compelling new narrative, is what we have seen in the 2026 election. The Tamil voter is therefore simultaneously both aspirational and deeply rooted in Dravidian identity, demanding authentic, not performative relationship. And youth and women together form a decisive electoral force, especially when a candidate speaks directly to dignity and opportunity. And this, of course, is something we have seen play out in other parts of India as well, very, very interestingly. Now, how does the 2026 wave for Vijay explain itself? Vijay's TVK has become the single largest party in Tamil Nadu, a result that has surprised virtually every established commentator and pollster except very few contrarian voices. What drove this? One was his mass connect, which transcended caste and region, rare in Tamil Nadu's deeply segmented political landscape. His pulling disproportionately from the DMK's vote bank, particularly among youth and aspirational urban voters. The party ran a disciplined digital-first campaign that reached voters in a way that mainstream media and traditional pollsters had missed. Vijay's deliberate positioning as a clean outsider contrasted sharply with incumbent governance fatigue of the two Dravidian majors. Going it alone, without any alliances, was a gamble that paid off in vote consolidation, though it has left TVK short of an outright majority. TVK is the single largest party, but short of a majority. AIADMK's remaining seats keep them relevant in my view in the post-poll arithmetic in the event that a stable government has to be formed. Now, the 2026 Tamil Nadu election was won through unconventional mechanics. There was a digital revolution, there was youth power, and new vote acquisition. and all this was missed by conventional pollsters. This happened on digital terrain, something that traditional survey methods doesn't easily capture. TVK built an organic ground network through social media, short-form video and WhatsApp groups, reaching first-time voters and lapsed voters simultaneously. Youth volunteers were not passive consumers of messaging. They were active booth-level organizers who closed the gap between digital sentiment and physical turnout. On-ground observation at booths showed early queuing patterns skewing younger than any previous election, a signal that standard samples had underweighted the youth surge. And rather than dividing existing vote blocks, TVK created some new voters, first-timers energized by Vijay's aspirational appeal, who did not appear in historical voting data. Indeed, in a conversation with an elder yesterday, he was telling me how most of the older people in his village had a certain thought when it came to voting, and the youth were on a completely different trajectory in comparison to all the older people. West Bengal delivered a decisive BJP breakthrough, ending 15 years of TMC rule. And this is something that mainstream media largely missed. The silent voter revealed on counting day. The forces behind this, women's safety had become a visceral, lived concern, not just a political talking point, after a series of high-profile cases that eroded TMC's credibility on law and order. Law and order collapse was felt at community level, particularly in semi-urban and rural constituencies, and these largely did not make national headlines. Demographic anxieties, felt intensely but rarely voiced openly to pollsters, around cultural continuity and security drove quiet consolidation of votes. There was the economic aspiration factor, a voter base that felt left behind by a regime seen as prioritizing political loyalists over genuine development. The silent voter in Bengal was like the Trump voter in 2016, invisible in surveys but decisive in the ballot box. The 2026 state elections, when you read them together, they carry signals that go well beyond any single state. So there's a broader picture to this. It brings an end to extended rule of the left. The decisive displacement of the 15-year TMC rule in Bengal is the most dramatic signal that entrenched incumbency, however culturally dominant, is not immune to voter exhaustion. There is a generational change. Young voters, particularly those under 30, have played a role in both the TVK wave in Tamil Nadu and the BJP surge in Bengal. This is a generation that prioritizes aspiration over ideology. There is a celebration of prosperity. Voters who feel economically left behind are not rejecting development. They are demanding to be included in it. The narrative of prosperity, when credible, it seems to win elections. And when leadership is seen as authentic, the candidate perceived as genuine, however unconventional, those candidates outperform the candidate perceived as traditional, transactional, or dynastic. In all the pollster predictions that we were watching, Axis My India was the lone prescient voice. Led by Pradeep Gupta, they stood alone as the only major polling agency to get both Tamil Nadu and West Bengal broadly right. In Tamil Nadu, they boldly projected TVK emerging as the single largest party with 98 to 120 seats. And they got it pretty much right because the end was right in the middle there. Virtually every other pollster and pundit confidently forecast a comfortable DMK retention or only a marginal disruption. The contrarian call by Pradeep Gupta was widely jeered and dismissed in the run-up to counting as unrealistic or headline-seeking. In West Bengal, they took the rare and courageous step of refusing to release an exit poll at all. They cited unprecedented voter silence and reluctance to disclose preferences as the reason why they were choosing to do this. And while other agencies offered projections leading to a close contest or a TMC hold, Axis recognized the limits of their data and stepped back. Another person who impresses is Prashant Kishore, because his call became a prophecy. He read the ground reality with striking clarity. There is a video clip from 2025 during TVK's first anniversary event and a Tandi TV interview, which has gone massively viral. In this, he confidently asserts that if Vijay contests alone, TVK stands a very good chance to win Tamil Nadu outright. He repeatedly said in that interview, "Keep this video and play it when the results come out in Tamil Nadu." At the time, the prediction was met with widespread skepticism or outright dismissal. Today, the clip is being replayed as prophecy. What unites Access My India's caution, Prashant Kishore's bold read, and my own 2016 observation? The enduring and underestimated power of the silent voter, a phenomenon that repeats with striking consistency across eras and geographies. Let's recap. In 2016, the American silent voter in Middle America stayed quiet in the polls and media interviews. Their concerns, livelihood, immigration, and cultural security, vastly underweighted by mainstream English language media. In 2019, the silent Indian voter propelled Sri Narendra Modi to a stronger mandate than most exit polls predicted. Driven by national security, remember that we had just finished Pulwama and Balakot, there was economic aspiration and a quiet consolidation of identity that mainstream media tends to largely dismiss as mere polarization. And in Bengal, the silent voter has delivered BJP's decisive breakthrough on women's safety, law and order collapse, and demographic anxieties once again. And in Tamil Nadu, the silent youth surge has powered TVK's wave through digital channels, while traditional pollsters missed the depth. Now, from a brain and mind perspective, this silent voter is a classic case of social desirability bias meeting strategic self-protection. Now, the emotional and social facets of the mind instinctively avoid revealing views that might invite judgment, ostracism, or even violence in polarized environment. This is social desirability bias. And then you have the elite framing effect, that when the mainstream media and urban elites frame street-level concerns, security, jobs, cultural continuity, they frame them as regressive. The voter learns to stay quiet in surveys and interviews. So there is system 1 versus system 2 thinking. System 1 thinking is your gut instinct. It drives the vote on election day. System 2 thinking is your analytical, socially acceptable responses, and these stay guarded in polls. The result, a persistent gap between what pollsters hear and what the ballot box reveals. And I think this is the power of the silent voter, and this is why there is such a thing as the silent voter. I mean, indeed, even in conversations across coffee with enlightened people, or in a cocktail party, for example, if one espouses views which appear to be right of center, one can get ostracized. And that's part of the intolerance that afflicts mainstream media, in my view. And it is one of the reasons why pollsters get things incorrectly in advance of the polls. So the silence is not apathy. It's strategic self-preservation, and it is precisely why the writer Indian universe keeps surprising the commentators. So there is a core insight here. The voter's mind prioritizes lived reality over performative discourse. And together, when you look at these polling stories and silent voter patterns, they illustrate a deeper truth. The Indian electorate is speaking loudly, but only when it matters most in the ballot box. The writer Indian universe is therefore not a partisan observation. It's a brain and mind observation. Voters across states think with lived reality. They prioritize security, dignity, opportunity, and authentic leadership over elite narratives. The brain and mind of the voter remain wiser than most analysts credit. And one of the things that I often say is that the English language speaking media or the English language newspapers often get it wrong because they lack ground connect with how the voter on the street is thinking. The voter on the street thinks very differently from how typical mainstream media thinks. And I think that despite repeated surprises, somehow this continues. So how does this connect to our earlier episodes in the Neurokrish immersion? The themes of this cycle resonate powerfully with frameworks explored in earlier episodes. In the episode on Swaraj to Atmanirbhar, the voters' assertion of self-governance, choosing leaders who reflect their own reality, not reality curated by media or elites. This is Swaraj in its most direct expression. It is the citizen mind reclaiming its sovereign judgment. Atmanirbhar, on the other hand, the aspiration for self-reliance, it's not merely an economic aspiration. It's a political and psychological aspiration. Voters in Bengal and Tamil Nadu were each asserting an Atmanirbhar identity, refusing dependence on political dynasties or entrenched structures. In an earlier episode, I talked about the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The precise conditions under which the silent voter thrives and predictive models fail are VUCA conditions. The voter navigates VUCA through gut instinct and lived reality. The analyst navigates it through data, and data often loses. So what is the road ahead for Vijay and the TVK in Tamil Nadu? You have the momentum and the star power. The wise path remains becoming the face of a stable government with key portfolios while steadily building the genuine hands-dirty connect and organizational depth that turns cinematic and digital charisma into lasting political capital. So there are some critical tasks ahead. That the wave mandate needs to be translated into a stable, effective government, not just headline-grabbing gestures. Real booth-level organizational depth needs to be built. This has to go beyond digital mobilization that won the election. A grassroots connect has to be developed, and that has to go beyond cinematic charisma. And governance has to be with visible personal accountability. There is going to be need for a coalition and coalition arithmetic management. And there is a possibility, in my view, that aligning with the AIDMK will offer a balance of power with both constraint and opportunity. It remains to be seen what will happen. And there is a need to demonstrate that film politics capital can convert into durable governance capital. And the historical precedent of MGR and Jayalalitha in Tamil Nadu shows that this is possible. For Bengal and the new government, the silent voter has spoken, and the real question is whether this breakthrough becomes enduring change. The silent voter has voted for lives and livelihood, for women's safety, law and order, economic inclusion. These were not slogans. They were felt daily realities. Governance must address them at the same daily level. A breakthrough after 15 years of entrenched rule creates both mandate and complexity. The institutional capture of the previous era will not dissolve overnight, and that is going to be something that has to be managed. The test of authenticity for the new government is not the victory speech. It is the first 100 days of visible, credible action on concerns that drove the vote. The brain-mind lesson here is that the emotional facet that drove the vote will sustain loyalty only if the psychological facet, the calculus of hope versus disappointment, is not betrayed. For India, the writer Indian universe continues. Voters across states are thinking with lived reality. They are prioritizing security, dignity, opportunity, and authentic leadership over elite narratives. And I'd like to again repeat that very often elite narratives tend to be very philosophical and not really, ground level reality reflections at all. Across states, voters are consistently prioritizing these things. And what we are crafting in TV studios and English newsrooms is not really what the voter is concerned about. The silent voter is not an anomaly, and this gap between survey responses and the ballot box behavior is structural, and it's built into the social and psychological dynamics of a diverse and polarized democracy. The voter's System 1 mind, processing gut signals from daily lived experience, has consistently outperformed the analyst's data models. We should be humble about predictive certainty. Media, academia, and the political class needs tools and humanity to hear voices that do not speak in mainstream registers, or they will keep being surprised. Let's leave you with a few questions for reflection. Did the breadth of any result surprise you? What does that say about your own mental model of Indian politics? How do you see film politics evolve in the digital age? Does digital charisma have longer shelf life than cinematic charisma? Which facet of the political mind stood out most clearly to you in Tamil Nadu or West Bengal? Emotional, social, moral, or power-driven? What do you make of the persistent power of the silent voter across 2016, 2019, and 2026? Is it a feature or a failure of our democratic discourse? Drop your reflections in the comments on LinkedIn or wherever you listen. And I would invite you to please revisit the 3 earlier Neurokrish episodes that are referenced in this one for richer context. I'd repeat: Swaraj to Atmanirbhar, 5 facets of the political mind, trumping in a VUCA world were the 3 past political episodes. This is the Detached Observer, a part of the Neurokrish immersion. If you like what we do here, please subscribe and share. We are on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. Stay curious, stay detached. Until the next observation. Thank you so much.